Howdy y'all, it's Aaron here. To this day, we get this question all the time. What interest should I target on Facebook for my clothing store? Without ruining this video, I'll tell you that the answer is none. As always, make sure you grab something to take notes with and stick around until the end where I'll be sharing with you how you can grow your clothing store faster and even more effective without interest targeting. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. All right, so number one is, what is interest targeting? We need to talk about this first because if we don't, the rest of this video and building up the campaign won't really make too much sense. So first though, we need to acknowledge that finding interest seems like a better thing to do. I mean, I agree, right? I do mean, why would you not target FUBU if you have a great streetwear brand or Supreme or whatever else, right? Or you've checked out our other videos, like it makes sense to target those people if you have a streetwear brand, right? Or Pink Lily if you have a boutique because they're large, you feel like your customers align with those people. I mean, what about behaviors? You know, your audience is into country, why not target people who are interested in country music? It all sounds logical, but interest targeting changes so rapidly. It's like trying to bet on a sports team. We're all working with humans and humans are unpredictable. No matter how many stats you put out there, we'll never get it 100% correct. So interest targeting groups people based off of what they are actually interested in, right? Interacting with, and even pages that they like. But how many of y'all have talked about a political figure a lot but didn't like that person? Well, okay, so better example. How many of y'all prefer Nike over Adidas but still talk about the other brand, so you still end up into that category that could be shown an ad for a brand you don't actually like? But even if you do believe all of that is correct, right? So the amount of money spent on interests fluctuate. So if someone wants to spend $1 million per day, all right, which is actually pretty low. If you wanted to spend $1 million per day, country music interest, your costs are going to go through the roof, right? It's going to skyrocket because if the cost goes up, right, the amount of money that goes into that interest goes up, then your costs are going to go up too. And your $25 purchases that were doing amazing now become $40 purchases, and guess what? You're no longer profitable. So what do? You get into Ads Manager and chase the next interest, right? You choose the next one. Okay, so you can believe that the next one is actually the next one that finally hits. The problem here is that you also don't have accurate data, right? Ever since iOS 14 in 2021, people are asking you to stop tracking their actions online, and for the most part, right, 80% of people in the US, roughly, we'll put up the actual stat here, 80% of people have actually opted out, which means less data for Facebook or whatever platform you use, which means that it's inaccurate data for you. Luckily, we did find a solution, thank goodness, for this problem, but still doesn't change the fact that every fluctuation in your interest targeting affects your profitability, but more on that stuff later. All right, before we cover number two and dive into broad, I just wanted to say howdy. My name's Aaron. I'm one of the co-founders here at BitBranding. We're an e-commerce growth agency that specializes in helping clothing stores grow and scale profitably online. Now, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of the latest strategies for clothing stores. We drop content for you every single week, and right now it's at least 2 videos, so make sure you subscribe. All right, so number 2, why broad is better, right? So instead of talking you through this, I feel like it would be much better to draw this out for you. I know you guys love my handwriting, so I'm gonna give you a better visual. I think this will help you a lot. And I know ads can be boring or complicated or just a pain in the booty. I have a 3-year-old daughter, so I try not to use the other B word too much, so booty I don't. But in all seriousness, I know it can be tough, but after this video, I promise you will spend less time inside of Ads Manager. Okay, so let's jump into breaking down broad. All right, so let's go ahead and come over to the iPad and this is a circle. Let's just say this is the pool of audience of people that you have, right? So there's a lot of people who are in here. Now it looks like a chocolate chip cookie. Anybody else want a cookie right now? So pool of people that you can target. Of those people, this is just a rule like that we should know anyway, and it's just kind of the rule of economics. So like at any given time, 5% of people are actually ready to purchase and give you money. Let's make this green because green means money, at least in my book. All right, so 5% of people. This is all the available people on Facebook that you're looking at for, like, let's just say the interest targeting, right? So this is, or let's go broad here. So this is the broad circle. Now, if you wanted to say, okay, so if you wanted to say, I want to go after country music, and here's the size of that. Maybe you actually decided to choose, and now we got a pool of people that's 5%. But you're like, well, it's a much smaller pool of people, but there's still a lot of people in here. Maybe this one is maybe 100 million, right? And maybe this one right here is like 20 million, right? So it's much smaller, but the good thing is here, right? Like what you said, that this is country, and I know that my audience loves country. That's why I did the research. That's what it matters here. But the problem is that, oops, got rid of my color. The problem is now I can only get 5% of those people, right? So 5% of 20 million versus 5% of 100 million. So maybe most of those people weren't necessarily part of the bigger circle, but you say it's okay, it's a clothing boutique, so 20 million, and then half of them are actually men, so got it down now. I have a 10 million person audience. So now I could potentially reach 10 million. That's more than enough people. The problem is, right, now you have a budget in place. So now let's say your budget's $100 a day, right? And then $100 a day, maybe you could reach that audience. Maybe you could actually get to those people. But the problem now becomes like, okay, so what happens if Country Music Awards decides to spend $1 million per day? Well, now the total cost to reach those people, your $100 a day, you could, you know, let's say you're reaching 1,000 people a day. But then Country Music decided like, hey, we're gonna do some awards. We really wanna reach the people who like country music, and they start jumping millions of dollars a day. Now you go down to, you know, let's just say to be nice here, 400 people a day. We just gotta cut down by more than half, 400 people a day. And then your creative isn't good, right? Because it's based off of what's called an estimated action rate, which means like what's your bid, and then another part of it, what's your creative. So let's say your creative's good and your bid is $100 a day. Well, now you may be able to reach people, but you're still down to 400. Let's assume that your creative isn't good and you haven't figured out something that's worked. Now you're looking at 200 people a day. But you can see very quickly how your budget is completely changed, right? You can't necessarily spend more because maybe your $100 is all you could spend to make that profitable. Now you either have to go back and make better creative, or you have to figure out another interest. And now you go over here to this other interest, and the other one that you choose here, okay, so let's say that it's actually got less people. Let's say that it only has 5 million people inside of it. Make sure, let's say that, right, okay, so you've already reached everybody you could reach inside of this audience. You've reached 1,000 people per day. And another one, and this size of audience is actually at 3 million, right? So you can see that like now you have to jump around and around and around, but what if you could actually just go broad, right? So we get rid of all of this stuff that's going on over here. So instead of that, right, now let's focus on this large pool of people. We're not gonna reach all of them, but guess what? It's the lowest cost, and it's based off of creative. So Facebook will find the right audience based off of creative. So what do? You create videos of people wearing cowboy outfits or cowgirl outfits or whatever that may be, right? Your copy is cowboy or country related. Your headline, website, all of those other things are gonna give the indicators for Facebook to have a much bigger pool of people to go find people who may be interested in country, or if actually taken action on country music or that interest that you were actually focused on. So if you create content around it, you have a website that's around it, you have copy that's like your headlines that are around it, it will actually be able to find those people for you versus you having to jump over to all these small different circles of interest and competing against everyone else. And before you found this video, maybe you saw somebody else who talked about broad, I don't know, but most people talk about the interest. All right, and most people run interest targeting, so now you're competing against all of these other people who are competing against that as well. Dollars isn't necessarily working anymore. Now it's got to go up to $150 a day. Broad as a whole gives you a much better chance of reaching more people at a lower cost and a higher action rate. Oh, and if you're curious of the software we're using to actually track our results, it's called Triple, and it allows you to see up to 99+% of accuracy, right? Or where your ads are actually making the money. And it doesn't necessarily have to be ads, actually. It could be from Klaviyo, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or even Google. So check it out in the link in the description down below. But save that tab for later. Let's jump over and start showing you some winning results of ads so you can see proof. All right, so number 3 is real results from clothing stores. I think this is a very fun, transparent way to show you that, like, hey, these are all broad. I'm gonna show you the inside of some actual results, and then we'll actually go into what's going on. All right, so this is pretty straightforward. I'm gonna be showing you inside of Ads Manager and show you in real time the ads, but then also inside of Triple, because those are the real numbers, right, that you should actually be paying attention to. But before we do, make sure that you put your attention over to the like button and smash it down until you see the confetti. If you found value in this video so far, it would really just mean a lot to us. And for doing that, free action, it is free. Here is a picture of my daughter in an Encanto outfit. All right, so this is inside of an ads campaign. As you can see here, it's DCT, so dynamic creative testing, at Broad, fall of 2022. Last edit was 3 days ago. 1 day click or 1 day view. That's a whole nother video. And we have some updated thoughts and stances on that as well. But as you can see, 39 purchases for $11.90, 38 purchases for $19.13. So doing pretty well this last 7 days, September 22nd through October 2nd. And then just to kind of show you, actually, like, let me show you inside of here because I think it's important. All right, so purchase campaign, dynamic creative is on, 1 day after clicking or viewing, 21 to 55. Okay, so that's the audience we're gonna be going after. There's women, manual placements, it's manual placement breakdown that we have there, and that's really it. There are no interest targeting going on. Okay, let's go look at another campaign here. Okay, so last 7 days, let's look here. So this is spending quite a bit of money, so $1,740 a day, $12.57 per purchase, 1 day click or view. Some of these campaigns are older, last 7 days. Some of them are doing decent. This one has been turned off, but as you can see, 230 purchases. Okay, so we're going after website purchases here. We got 230 website purchases, 17 website purchases here. Show you. So this is the purchase event. Broad audience size, 100 million people. Women, 20 to 64, larger range there. This is the placements of what we've chosen, and 1 day after clicking, that's it. Both broad. Now let's jump over to Triple Whale because I think, right, Facebook gives you some nice, amazing looking numbers, but Triple Whale will give you the actual numbers. So let's look at these. All right, so inside of here, this is Triple Whale. And as you can see, here's Facebook, and then here's the actual return. Now, one thing to note here is that we are also using software called CommentSold, which Triple Whale cannot read. This is, if it was a purely Shopify store, it could read the actual return on ad spend numbers here. They are a little inaccurate, so we have to do a little bit of manual conversion value between the two of them. Right, so as you can see here, right, the average order value, $95, cost per acquisition, $132. We have a lot more purchases than that, but it gives us a good idea of like, okay, so what's going on prospecting wise? Let's see here, post IDs, like, okay, so which ones are actually doing well, right? So this has had 4 purchases, conversion value of $438. Facebook said the return was 2. Facebook said the return here was 5. So it really fluctuates and varies. But we have to go into CommentSold, and we have to go into Shopify, and we have to go into the actual ad spend. So this one is more of a manual process, but I do want to show you, like, okay, look, the Facebook numbers look amazing. The return on ad spend, a little bit different, but it's kind of like a mix between all of this here. Let me see if I can see what's inside of here. And we'll blur this one out. That is only a Shopify store. But the good thing here though, and I do want to mention, is that right here down at the bottom, we'll kind of zoom in here, right? It'll tell me the overlap. Is it Facebook? Is it Google? This can be Google search or Google ads, either one. And is there any type of actual overlap between the two platforms? But for the most part, if you have a Shopify store and you're using anything else to run traffic or ads through SMS or through email or advertising, it will tell you the actual number. If you use a third-party tool like CommentSold and Shopify and all of these other things, CommentSold does not necessarily integrate with it yet. Okay, and we can look at their numbers and Shopify's numbers and Triple Whale and verify everything. It just takes a lot longer, to be completely honest. But the point is, it gives us at least a baseline of like what's actually working for the ads to make better decisions with them. So I think it gives you a good idea of the actual return that's going on with Facebook right here, and the actual return on ad spend for going broad, to give some context. All right, so if you haven't grabbed your notes yet, make sure that you do those now. I'm about to jump into Ads Manager. The keys here are important, and if you miss a step, it will affect your ads. But before we jump into Ads Manager and I show you how to set up an effective clothing store ad, I wanted to tell you about our free masterclass training for clothing stores that will walk you through the 5 pillars that you must have in place for your online store to scale consistently and profitably, no matter what is going on in the world. And if you want access to that free training, make sure you check out the link in the description down below. All right, let's build some winning clothing store ads. All right, so now that we are inside of Ads Manager, I just want to go through very quickly the setup part of this process. We've had plenty of videos of actually building this out, and we're not going to hit on some parts that I'm gonna mention here in a little bit, but I do wanna talk about the setup, right? So go ahead and click Create Campaign. This may be what yours looks like now. Make sure that it's an auction build. We're gonna create a new campaign. Okay, so we're gonna jump into the new campaign. We're gonna go for sales. Through and name all of these things, but we will go ahead and skip forward for right now. Manual sales campaign, you can do the Advantage Plus shopping if you'd really like to, but it doesn't give you as many options, and I wouldn't do it, but you could if you'd like. So manual sales campaign, we're gonna call this our broad fall, I don't know, ads. You can label it however you want, but again, you should really have a naming convention that you keep track of, right? So for us, DCT, would be another one, right? So dynamic creative testing, fall, and then like if we had a V2. All right, auctions, catalog. We're not gonna do a catalog campaign here. We're gonna do the Advantage campaign plus budget. Nice little asterisk and like design here. Ad scheduling, budget per day. You can adjust this budget however you'd like, $100, $1,000, $50. We don't really suggest going much lower than $50 if you can. Objective sales. Yep, there we go. And sales has basically been changed from like conversions and then purchases. All right, so the ad set level, we're gonna go ahead and go for website. You could technically do another option, which is website and app. All right, we're gonna go for website and app if that's something that you have right now. If not, we'll go ahead and jump into something else. Dresses, V2, just making that up. We're going for the purchase event that is going on here. Dynamic creative, make sure you turn that on. This is what makes the ability for you to do multiple pieces of creative at a time. We are not gonna do a schedule. Audience, do wanna adjust this, it's 18 to 64. If you get 65 plus, it just really, it's a much wider range. So if you do know your audience is less than 65, I would do 64, just to kind of give you a better idea. All languages, manual placements. We are gonna do everything except for audience network. Okay, so do make sure that you go through the creative and make sure that everything is sized appropriately for the right placement without cutting things off. 7 day, 1 day. So 7 days after clicking, 1 day view. I won't go into this too much, but basically if you're just starting out or you can't get enough conversions or you are using Facebook as your only acquisition channel, then 7 day after clicking, 1 day view is gonna give you the most data. Typically we do 1 day click, 1 day view because we have other platforms going on as well, but so you gotta know whether or not this is good for you and your business on whether or not it's going to make sense with these types of numbers. You can default to this is what Facebook's likes. It gives you a little bit more data. Now let's go over to the ad creative breakdown here. Okay, so I think this is something that's probably one of the most important parts here and something that we've actually changed here recently. So what we suggest is 3-2-2. So 3 pieces of creative, so like photos or videos, right? So I really like a TikTok video, a graphic, and some kind of single image. So those are the 3 pieces of creative you can test. Primary text, we wanna do 2. So, hey, buy this, right? So as soon as you hit enter, add another option as well. Hey, more of this. 2, test, and test. So 3-2-2, 3 pieces of creative, 2 primary text, and 2 headlines. Website URL, thebrand.co. Cool, test this one again. So I'll show you a little bit more about what that looks like. Make sure that you always do shop now. Where is the shop now button? There we go. Select the domain to actually choose from. There you go. Make sure you have your app events turned on if you have those as well. Offline events if you have those as well. And a UTM tracker if you are using something like TripleWell to attribute the actual sale. Once you've done that, go ahead and click publish and you are ready to go. It literally is that simple. Go back and you can watch this or any of our other videos on how to build that campaign. But that is it. Okay, now I know this is going to go over how to build an ad. This is the easiest part. The areas I want to make sure you really pay attention to before you build the ads though are the following. So number 1, your audience research. Number 2, your copywriting. Number 3, great content creation. And number 4, probably the biggest piece that moves the needle, the offer. Once you're able to knock out the previous 4 things I mentioned, your ads will be in the top 1% of clothing stores. I can promise you that because my guess is before you watch this video, if you've ran Facebook ads for your store, it has either been a boosted post or you didn't focus on any of the other things I mentioned. All right, so I'm wishing you all nothing but success right now. And if you like this video on Facebook ads, then you're going to love me breaking down what it takes to be a $100 million a year clothing store. Go watch this video right here next. All right, y'all have a great rest of your day and we'll see you in the next one.